Hi everyone, it's nice to meet you here. So my name is Elia Nurvista and right now I'm speaking from my home in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. So I will a little bit introduce about my practice. I am a multidisciplinary artist with my main focus on the politics of food. My spectrum of interest around food politics come from many points and directions, including the small stories and narratives, also historic trivias, which later I believe are connected and have trajectory between each other, which shape what we understand as a big global history right now. So I am so excited when Carlos and Kathleen invite me to the exhibition Cast But One Shadow, Afro-Southeast Asian Affinities in Vargas, Philippines. I respond to this invitation by developing my previous project, which linked with the Cold War era. So in this project, I started to focus on the historical events starting around the 60s when the shifting of Indonesian politics and also how it's affected in the present day. It departs from Indonesian shifting leadership and also at the same time the shifting of ideology between the Sukarno and Suharto. It was happened during the 65 to 66 and also I think at that time this turmoil of politics happened in many places in Southeast Asia. And I believe that this is the situation generate because of the Cold War effect. So I am interested in exploring the small narration from the unpopular place like Indonesia in the middle of the bigger history of the world. I mean, when we talk about the Cold War, mostly it's a history of Berlin Wall or the Russian and so on, but also it's give a broader effect into many places in the world. So I like to see it from the lens of the food or something that has relation directly and indirectly with the matters of food. For example, how the US defined the idea of hunger and how they give the food aid in the form of debt, and the food technology, including the Green Revolution, which operated in many places, including in Asia and also South America, and also about the agreement and policy into cooperation on regional and global, including the role between the corporate and the state, where this all brings the convergence that is shaping the global food system. So in this exhibition, I made a timeline and a mind map which show there are many events and incidents which seems random but actually have interconnection each other. The timeline which is applied in the wall of the Vargas Museum on the second floor, it shows mostly from the Indonesian perspective of history. It started with the Dutch colonial era and then how it talk about the land regulation, the agricultural arrangement, also about the Japanese occupation which happened in mostly in Asia during that time before the 45. And it's continue on the Second World War and when the war end, and how the politics of the Cold War start including the spirit of the Asia-Africa Conference and the non-alliance movement. But as we can see now how this attempt to build on solidarity between the newborn nation was no longer survive. There are so many complex history, but again I want to emphasize how it affected in food politics, including the money aid, the science on food production, and how they see Asian big population as a problem for hunger. When I did the research about this topic, for me what is really interesting and give me another idea is how I get to know more about the land reform and then the spirit of the peasant movement in many places. It is very political at that time. It's compared how we see the figure of the peasant or farmers in today's. And then, of course, it's quite close with the ideology of socialism and communism. Also, they have the communal collective farming as well. And this kind of idea, it was a bigger specter for the US. So in between the timeline, I made the video talking about the peasant and their movement from time to time in many places in the world, mostly in the global south. And the title of the video is We Dream About Reform. Back to the timeline, I also underlined the Indonesian political shift from the 65 to 66, when the communism was banned and slaughtered, and it's also become a turmoil year with the killing mass. I guess this is the biggest impact of the Cold War in Indonesia. And between this timeline, I also saw my previous work. It's a video. It's produced together with my collective Bakudapan Food Study Group about the woman political prisoner which survived after being sent to the camp for many years. The video title is Cooking in Pressure. In this video, they were talking about their traumatic experience and how they survived, mostly about how they manage with the limitation food source and how they bring the solidarity between them. And this timeline ends with the year into 1998 until now. It was when the economic crisis hit Southeast Asia and also led to the turmoil and fall of the New Order regime in Indonesia. So it was when the Suharto collapsed and Indonesia stepped into a new history. We called it a Reformation era. To complete the mind map, on the other wall of the exhibition, I also display a stackable of rice sacks with the slogan or chant applied on top of it. The slogan comes from the Indonesian land reform movement, and this is also said by Soekarno. It's called like tanah tidak boleh menjadi alat penghisapan, atau or in English it's land should not be used as a tool of leverage. And also we have in a Tagalog, tunai na reforma sa lupa ipaklaban, or real land reform, let us fight for it. So this both slogan and chants, it's relate with the peasant movement. For me, as this is something that I want to explore more about the connection between land reform, between the peasant movement, and also the politics of food. And I put the rice sacks as an part of the installation because this kind of object is close to the trading, shipping, which also connect with the food agreements and politics. So that's pretty much my work for the exhibition of Cast But One Shadow, Afro-Southeast Asian Affinities. If you have chance to see, please visit the Vargas Museum. Thank you.